What's going on, everyone? It's DK with RPM Gaming, and you know how we do it here. We talk about retro PC and mobile gaming. And today, we're talking about the ELO Vagabond, a telescopic controller with a USB-C connection. And spoiler alert, it's awesome. So do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you don't watch anything else, make sure you check out the very end of this video to see why I think this controller is so awesome and why I think you're going to like it too. The packaging on this controller is top notch. Opening the lid on this is like opening a treasure chest. Then the controller raises and slides out to you. And one of the first things we see is a QR code for the app you can download to do software updates and map your controls. And now for the main event. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, the ELO Vagabond. In first impressions, this doesn't feel flimsy or cheap, but like an actual quality controller. Next up, we've got a package with the ELO brand symbol on the front of it. It looks kind of like a Decepticon symbol. And then inside we find our adapter selector, which is what you'll use to see which set you need to install on the controller for your phone. And you have 6 different size selections, so you shouldn't have any problem finding one to fit your phone, even with a case on it. The gap codes range from 9 down to 54. And next up, we have an ELO sticker. And last but not least, we have our ELO Vagabond Ultimate Mobile Gaming Controller Product Manual. And underneath all that, here are our adapters for our controller. They're made out of a rubber material, and there'll be a left and a right for each set, the right being where the USB-C connector goes through. And now let's take a look at this bad boy, the ELO Vagabond. As I mentioned before, this controller has a nice premium feel to it. You have the nice smooth travel around the thumbsticks, and they are Hall effect sticks with RGB lighting. They have a concave top to them and a nice grippy texture around the edge. The face buttons are full size, smooth and rounded with a micro switch connection. The D-pad is smooth with a concave center and what also feels like a micro switch connection. The shoulder buttons are quieter and have more of a rubber membrane feel to them, along with a grippy texture on the outside. These Hall effect triggers have just the right amount of travel and tension to them, which is another reason this controller feels so premium. I'm also a fan of the texture that they put on the side of this controller. It's got a nice grip and feel to it. On the top of the controller, we've got a menu button, a screenshot button, an ELO app button, and another menu button, all of which are micro switch connections. Around on the back side of the controller, we've got 2 programmable back buttons. And these have toggles on them where you can slide them over and keep them from being pressed at all. Not really sure why you'd need those here. I would have preferred to have them on the triggers where you could turn them into hair triggers. That's just my opinion. Around on the bottom of the controller, we've got a 3.5mm audio jack, along with a pass-through USB-C charging port. And as you would expect on these telescopic controllers, the USB-C connection here pivots as well. And this controller extends out quite a bit. I think this is the largest extension I've seen on one of these telescopic controllers. We'll measure it here in a bit, but right now let's take a look at these rubber adapters that come on this controller. And they are a little easier to take off than they are to get back on. You can just grab the edge of it and pop it right off. You can see on the controller there's 4 recessed areas that hold the adapter in place. Then on the adapter itself, you can see it has 2 round pegs and 2 pegs that are shaped more like hooks, as well as the size and the left and right orientation. When installing the adapter of your choice, I found it easiest to put one of the hook pegs in first, and then kind of work the other one in as you go. Once you have both hook pegs in place, the little round pegs go in fairly easy. You just line those up, and then they'll pop right in place. When comparing the ELO Vagabond to other telescopic controllers like the Gamester G8, you can see that USB-C connector is longer on the ELO Vagabond, which makes it a lot easier to use with a phone case. In a size comparison between the two, I'd say that the Gamester G8 is just a little bit bigger, but it doesn't extend nearly as far as the ELO Vagabond. It's a little difficult to see on the camera, but the total inside spread of the Vagabond is coming in at just over 9 inches. When putting my phone into the Vagabond, it feels snug and secure, and the connection is great even with the case on. And once you have it connected, the RGB lighting will turn on. Let's jump right in and test out this D-pad on a little Contra. And here you can see holding down and wiggling back and forth, there's not hardly any movement to it. And this D-pad kind of pivots out from the center. So when you're moving and you want to hit the diagonals, I don't think you're going to have any problem doing so. And yeah, you can see here we're running and gunning no problem. And now that I'm actually gaming on this controller,
This thing is really comfortable in the hands. Now let's check out how this D-pad does with a little Street Fighter action. Like I mentioned before, this D-pad does pivot from like the center outward, so I think it's going to be really good for fighting games like these. The edges of the D-pad are smooth, but they're not as smooth as the ones on the G8 Plus. But when using it with it pivoting from the center out, your thumbs really aren't going across the edges of it that much anyway. And here's another flawless victory brought to you by Ken Masters. And so yeah, I would say this D-pad is definitely Hadokenable and Shoryukenable. The D-pad works just as well on platformers too. When playing games like Area of Sorrow and Celeste, the inputs feel precise and accurate. We've talked a couple of times now about how the D-pad pivots from the center outward, but when pressing on the outer edges of the up, down, left, and right in the cardinal directions, the movements are direct and accurate. So yeah, overall I think this is a great D-pad. I played Area of Sorrow from start to finish using only the ELO Vagabond, and it was a really great experience for me.
Pass-through charging on the Vagabond works great. I did have one little hiccup once when I plugged it in, the controls stopped working. So I had to disconnect the controller and reconnect it, and after that, everything worked great, and it has ever since. And now let's take a look at these Hall Effect thumbsticks. Now, I don't really play a whole lot of the first-person shooters, so we're just going to use Hello Neighbor on this. But I really like these sticks. They have a texture on them that I haven't seen on other thumbsticks before. It's a really grippy texture around the edges of them, and I'm a fan of this texture. That, combined with a concave top that I like, really keeps your thumbs in place on it, whether you like to keep them dead center on the sticks or around the edges. This texture on it, you're not going to have any trouble with your thumbs slipping off. Now let's jump over to Horizon Chase and test out these triggers. And just like you'd expect, they work great. They're Hall Effect triggers, they're comfortable, they've got just the right amount of tension for me, and just the right amount of travel as well. The only thing that's really missing for the triggers is a little toggle switch to turn them into hair triggers for everyone that uses them for those first-person shooters. But you can go into the software settings and turn on the hair trigger mode from there. Next up, let's take a look at the ELO app. Now, if you press the ELO symbol on the controller, it will automatically bring up their app. And after you've created your free account and logged in, this is the home screen that you'll see. You kind of have that Terminator 2 music playing there in the background. They've got a list of games on here. When you click on one of the games, it'll bring up a page and it says Play Now. So if you don't own the game, when you click Play Now, it'll bring up a little tab where you can purchase it from the App Store. On the left side of your screen, you've got 3 tabs. The top one is a controller tab that shows all the games that work great with controllers. Below that is a genre tab, and then below that is the My Library tab, which will show all the games that you've purchased. Next up, let's take a look at the settings menu. And in here you can make quite a few adjustments to this controller, as well as the app itself. Underneath the sound settings, you have 3 different selections: Unleashed App, Music, and Effects, of which you can adjust the volume for all of them. At first I thought it had to do with the headphone jack, but it's just for the volume on the app. Next up, we'll look at the calibration settings, and in here you can adjust thumbsticks as well as your triggers. First up on the sticks is checking the dead zone, and if they're off, you'll make the calibration selection and then follow the prompts inside. The first screen will be your up, down, left, and right. You'll do this for each stick, and then the next screen will be your rotation screen. And in here you'll just rotate each stick about 6 times and then it will calibrate. And then you're done with the calibration on the sticks. The trigger calibration is also really simple. Next up, let's take a look at the button mapping. In here you'll be able to map all your buttons, including the 2 back buttons on the controller. And then in the firmware section, this is where of course you'll be updating the firmware to the controller. You can also enroll in Vagabond's public firmware betas as well. And then the next section is the LED brightness. It looks like there's only one color, and here you can adjust it all the way down dim or even turn it all the way off. And pressing the 2 menu buttons on the controller turns the LEDs on and off. And so yeah, that's about it for the app. The last thing I wanted to show you guys with this controller is how it fits the Retroid Pocket 5 just perfect. Now, it does look a little weird, but it works great. And it fits in there snug and secure, just like your phone. Now you might be wondering, why would you want to do this? This is so weird looking. Well, I'll tell you why. The Final Burn Neo emulator, as well as the MAME emulator, have a lot of those old vertical arcade games. And with the Retroid Pocket 5, you can play those in Tate or vertical mode as they were meant to be played. And it's just my opinion, but using the ELO Vagabond to play it in Tate mode like this is way more comfortable than using the joystick and the face buttons holding it vertically in your hands. And so yeah, this is just another reason that I really like this controller so much. I think this is pretty awesome. The only thing to watch out for is your fan exhaust. It's just a little bit blocked,
but I don't think it's enough to hurt anything, as most of these games are pretty lightweight.
But why stop there? Why not take it just a step further as long as you're keeping an eye on that fan and turn this into a DS emulating machine? For me, this is a perfect combination to replay all those great DS games. Like I said before, as long as you're keeping an eye on that fan. I haven't done a whole lot of testing like this, so I don't know how hot it will get. But if you're playing lightweight games, I don't think it's really going to hurt anything at all. But I really like this setup. Everything's within reach. Your screens are proportioned right. I think it's a great setup. Even though it looks kind of like a weird Frankenstein handheld setup, I like it. And I think I'm going to be using this kind of setup quite a bit. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this Frankenstein setup and if it's something that you would use. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time on RPM Gaming.